Up to now, the stories I've shared with you were born from ancient pacts, from whispered legends and fears hidden in the folds of folklore. These were secrets guarded by communities, by families, by traditions. But there's another kind of secret, a more modern, colder, and perhaps more relentless type, the corporate secret. Large industries, in their incessant search for resources, dig deeper than any explorer, map territories no government knows, and sometimes they find things that weren't on geological maps, anomalies that defy science and common sense. And when that happens, the protocol isn't superstition or prayer. It's a confidentiality agreement, a mass dismissal, a fabricated bankruptcy, silence bought with money and fear. There are stories the ocean refuses to forget, legends of ghost ships that sail through forgotten waters, crewed by tormented souls, the Flying Dutchman, the Octavius, names that have become synonymous with the terror of the sea. But most of these stories are just the legends, except one. A story so real and so bizarre that it was recorded by merchant ships and the navies of several nations. The story of the SS Orang Medan, a Dutch cargo ship that, in the 1940s, was found adrift in the Strait of Malacca. The rescue team that boarded it found a scene of absolute horror. The entire crew was dead, from the captain to the last sailor. But there were no signs of violence. Their bodies were intact, but their faces were frozen in a mask of pure and absolute terror, eyes wide, arms outstretched as if trying to defend themselves from an invisible enemy. The mystery of the Orang Medan was never solved. Until now, or almost. Good evening or good morning. I am the Unseen Archivist. Today's investigation begins with this real legend, but it will lead us to a modern event. I anonymously received a set of audio recordings. They belong to the black box of a diving boat that a few years ago took a group of young Britons to the South Pacific in an attempt to find the wreckage of the legendary Orang Medan. They found it, and what happened next is the only plausible explanation for the fate of the original crew decades ago. What you are about to hear is the reconstruction of that night. A night that proves that sometimes the scariest monster isn't a ghost. It's your own mind. And before we board, if the mysteries of the sea also fascinate you, leave your like to join the crew. And if you don't want to miss any of our dives into the unknown, subscribe to the Unseen Archivist channel and hit the bell. What we will find today in the depths of history will make you question everything you see. Let's set sail. The audio recordings begin cheerfully, almost idyllically. The boat is a chartered diving launch called the Bristolian Duchess. The captain is an experienced and pragmatic Briton named Captain Anya Sharma from Portsmouth. The passengers are 4 wealthy young Americans celebrating the end of university. We have Liam, the most studious and responsible of the group. His younger brother, Finley, who is shy and insecure. Chloe, Liam's girlfriend, adventurous and confident. And her brother, Reese, the arrogant playboy and owner of the boat. The first hours of recording are just that. Conversations about diving, jokes, small provocations among them. They are in the middle of the South Pacific, looking for World War II plane wrecks to explore. The first mention of the Orang Medan comes from Liam.
Captain Sharma, according to my nautical charts, we're near the area where the Orang Medan supposedly sank. Ever heard of it?
Sailor's legend, lad. Every ocean has its ghost ship. It's a story to scare the rookies.
A ghost ship? How cool. Any treasure? If there's treasure, I'm in.
The conversation continues in this tone. They decide, for fun, to slightly deviate their route to pass through the supposed shipwreck area. It's a game, a holiday adventure. They couldn't be more wrong. The group's luck drastically changes. The recordings register the moment a sudden and violent storm forms.
Hold on. This wasn't in any forecast. Rapidly forming storm. everyone inside.
The audio becomes a chaos of wind, rain, and the sound of the boat being whipped by the waves. And in the midst of the storm, the true danger manifests. But it's not a supernatural danger. A small fishing boat, battered by time, appears out of nowhere and rams their launch. From it, 3 men jump, pirates, armed with knives and a pistol. What follows is a tense sequence of kidnapping. The pirate leader, a man named Kemp, takes them hostage. He wants money. He threatens everyone. Reese, the playboy, tries to react and is quickly subdued. The situation is a realistic and brutal thriller. They are trapped in the middle of a storm, on a boat controlled by violent kidnappers. But the pirates' launch was damaged in the collision, and the storm seems endless. They are all in the same boat, literally, and sinking. Desperate, Kemp looks at the radar.
It's the area we were looking for. The Aram Medan area. It must be it. Kemp's voice, with a mix of fear and greed.
A ghost ship? To hell with it. Any port in a storm. Take us there. Now!
Up to now, the stories I've shared with you were born from ancient pacts, from whispered legends and fears hidden in the folds of folklore. These were secrets guarded by communities, by families, by traditions. But there's another kind of secret, a more modern, colder, and perhaps more relentless type. Large industries, in their incessant search for resources, dig deeper than any explorer, map territories no government knows, and sometimes they find things. Things that weren't on geological maps. Anomalies that defy science and common sense. And when that happens, the protocol isn't superstition or prayer. It's a confidentiality agreement, a mass dismissal, a fabricated bankruptcy. Silence bought with money and fear. Forced by the situation, hostages and pirates alike all head towards the gigantic shadow that appeared on the radar, towards the encounter with the legend. The recordings aboard the Orang Medan are the heart of this story. The audio quality changes. It becomes muffled, full of echo. The group approaches the rusty ship. It is immense, silent, and completely dark, except for the occasional lightning strikes that illuminate its decaying structure. They split up, the pirates in search of anything of value, the young people trying to find a way to call for help or escape. The phenomena starts subtly. The audio captures doors banging in the distance. Captain Anya Sharma reports over the radio having seen the silhouette of an old uniformed sailor who vanished at the end of a corridor. Reese, locked in one of the cabins, screams that he saw a horrible woman with hair falling out, trying to get in. Each character begins to experience their own horror film. The hallucinations are personal, shaped by their fears and guilt. Finley, the shy brother, sees images of an accident for which he feels guilty. Chloe sees a distorted version of herself drowning. The pirates are also affected. The audio registers increasingly paranoid discussions among them. Kemp begins to yell at his men, accusing them of hiding a treasure they found. He mentions a golden glow that only he can see. The ship is not haunted by a single ghost. It seems to be an amplifier of nightmares, creating personalized horror for everyone who steps on its deck. The key to the mystery is found by Liam and Chloe, the most rational of the group. They manage to get into the radio room and the ship's cargo manifest. And there, amidst moldy documents from the 1940s, they discover the truth. The Orang Medan was an American Army ship, disguised as a Dutch freighter, and it was transporting a secret cargo from Manchuria, a region of China. After the end of World War II, the cargo was identified by a code name, Manchurian Gold. But it wasn't gold. It was the name of an experimental chemical compound, a biological weapon, more specifically, a hallucinogenic gas. The notes of the chemist on board, which they find, describe the effects of the gas. It doesn't kill directly. It induces vivid and extremely realistic hallucinations, based on the fear and anxiety centers of the victim's brain. The person is confronted with their worst nightmare. The resulting panic causes a massive adrenaline discharge, which leads to cardiac arrest. The victim dies, literally, of fright, with their face frozen in the expression of terror their own mind created. What happened to the original crew in 1947 was an accident. The containers holding the Manchurian gold in the ship's hold leaked. The gas, colorless and odorless, spread through the ventilation system, and each crew member was trapped in their own particular nightmare until their hearts stopped. And now, decades later, the gas was still there, slowly leaking, impregnated in the dust, the rust, the stagnant air of the ship, and everyone on board ... was breathing it. The revelation changes everything. The ghosts aren't real, but the danger is. The ship is a giant gas chamber, and the enemy is each person's own mind. The audio recordings become a record of madness. The pirates, already unstable, kill each other, each fighting against the monsters only they see. The group of young people needs to unite to try to escape, but they cannot even trust their own senses. The friend beside you can suddenly seem like a demon. The last recordings are of the chaotic escape. The survivors need to reach the launch, the Bristolian Duchess, and escape before the Orang Medan, old and damaged, finally sinks. They are pursued by Kemp, the pirate leader, who in his hallucination believes they stole his golden treasure. The story ends with the few survivors managing to depart in the launch, while the ghost ship finally plunges into the waves, taking its secrets and its poison to the bottom of the sea. The case of the Orang Medan was solved, not by ghosts, but by the science of fear. But this leaves us with an even more disturbing question. What is a ghost? Are the hauntings we fear so much really spirits from another world? Or are they just manifestations of our own guilt, our own trauma, brought to the surface by the right circumstances? What is more frightening? A ship haunted by a legion of the dead, or a ship that forces you to be haunted by yourself? Where is the true horror? Out there or in here? Leave your reflections in the comments. The human mind is the most haunted place that exists. If this story made you question the nature of your own reality, subscribe to the Unseen Archivist channel and hit the bell. We are just beginning our anthology of cases that explore the different facets of fear. In our next investigation, we will leave the sea and return to solid ground, to the abandoned town of Blackwood Creek in Kent, a town that, in the 17th century, was the scene of a brutal witch hunt, and which today is haunted not by the ghosts of the executed witches, ... but by the ghosts of their accusers, forced to reincarnate through generations to relive and pay for their sins in a cycle of fire and guilt that never ends. Thank you for your company, and be careful what you breathe. Until next time.